Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah, yeah. Running with country bass. Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah, yeah. Running with country bass.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. It's Bitcoin Chris checking in yet again. And today we have a very special guest on the live stream here today, and it's Jeff Booth. So we're not going to waste any more time, and we're not going to, jump into the usual introduction. We're just going to jump right into the amazing conversation that we're going to have here with Jeff Booth. So let's jump right into it. And we want to welcome Jeff Booth to the show. So thank you so much for coming on my show and chatting with me.
No problem at all, Chris. Even though I think we just lost you.
I know that there are some people in my audience that probably don't even know who you are, which I don't know how anybody doesn't know who you are at this point in the game. But, I'm a big fan. I'm a big supporter, and, I love the book. And I just want to make sure that, we spread not only the good news about Bitcoin, but, what the future may hold, as you've expressed in many, many, many different interviews. But hopefully we can, reach more people in this interview and chat more about Bitcoin. So thank you so much for joining us. And for those who don't know who you are, you want to give a brief introduction?
Just another node in the network. But seriously, that's who I am. I'm an entrepreneur who couldn't understand why prices weren't falling in the free market. So I wanted to explore that in the book, and I realized we didn't live in a free market. We lived in a co-opted market, and we never have lived in a free market. And that led me to really understanding deep dive on Bitcoin, and why that was the first time to ever kind of resolve that conflict, which led me to wanting to put all my time into Bitcoin. But simply, I'm just another node in the network, and this is inevitable.
Absolutely. You bring up a ton of great points and a ton of great outlooks and unique viewpoints that I feel like a lot of people still don't seem to grasp because, one, they haven't done their research or done their due diligence, or they haven't done enough, they haven't spent enough time studying Bitcoin and what it actually means for humanity. So one of the things that I love that you say is the natural state of the free market is deflation, right?
Yeah.
And prices should fall at the marginal cost of production. Is that correct?
Yeah, prices should fall to the net marginal cost of production.
Excellent.
And yeah.
Could you please explain that for those who are just now for the first time hearing that, and just in a little bit of a simpler term?
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry to go over this again for lots of people who have who have heard it, but it seems obvious that the natural state of the free market is deflation because we only use things that give us more value. We choose to spend our time and use things that give us more value. And what do entrepreneurs do if they don't provide us more value? They fail. Right. So in other words, the entire thing all around the world, we trade with everyone in the world to try to gain more value. And the entrepreneurial process has to create more value than what came before it. And so that process, that competitive process would naturally ensure prices fell. In fact, that process that I'm describing is actually the root of the problem of manipulated money needing to be manipulated faster and faster and faster because it accelerates. Prices should fall faster and faster, and every single person on this planet through that natural process should gain abundance, they should be able to work less each year and get more every year. That's what it would look like. But in the opposite system, in a system that essentially lends money into existence. Now think about that for a moment. That would mean if everyone paid back all the debt, there would be no money. Right. So when you have a debt-based system that must grow forever by manipulating, then it turns into more and more manipulation of money and faster manipulation of money. And these are two contradictory forces. The natural state of the free market is deflation, and we know that is a for sure. But most people tend to measure the system that they're in from the system that they're in, and they can't see that really simple thing that is so obvious because they're stuck inside a system that's manipulating their time.
Absolutely. And you say it and you break it down so well. You're pricing Bitcoin in pieces of paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How ludicrous that is, and I've said that many times. But or if you think the government has control over this, then you're giving the more government more control over the pieces of paper that you're pricing in. And where does government come from? It comes from you. Your ability to give them more control, essentially cede your own value to them to be able to destroy your own value. And as more people start to understand this, and I think that's why the message has really resonated, and it's really resonated in Bitcoin. As more people start to understand this, you have this open, decentralized, secure protocol that's bounded by energy that is repricing the world. And because it's open, everybody can make that choice, and so they can just move their time. They can move their time whenever they choose to move their time. If they only want to move a little bit of their time or a little bit of their money, then they'll have a corresponding value gain, right? If they want to move more of their time and energy, they'll have more of a value gain. And it's just as each person in the world comes to understand what I'm saying, what we're talking about is true, and it's bounded by energy in a decentralized and secure protocol that is repricing everything. It's just a choice by each person on the planet to be able to when they're going to move their time.
Yeah, we'll have those two systems where you can decide, and you have the freedom to decide to stay in bondage and to continue to be a fiat slave, or you can choose freedom and opt out and to be in a system that actually, gives you back your time, energy, resources, and freedom, and everything that we value here in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, and Chris, just pulling on that thread a little bit, when we talk about that, and this is why I have empathy for people still stuck. Because when you're in fear, when you're stuck in fear, you can't see the things that you easily see, right? I easily see, like we're speaking from a spot of abundance, and we're living on top of an honest ledger that is that allows us to sleep really well at night, irregardless of the price. We don't care. If you're that far in Bitcoin, you just it becomes a buying opportunity. Buy more if price relative to the piece of paper goes down. But all prices in it are falling forever as long as it stays decentralized and secure. And then and if you understand that, then all the nonsense in the world, it all makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense what it would look like from that system. And when people are feeding their energy into that system, that also makes perfect sense because they're co-opted by the attention needed into that existing system. Now I feel for people in it. I empathize. I just don't want to be that, right?
Yeah.
And,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. And each person has the choice. Each person has the choice of when they truly decide to leave and how much they decide to leave. And actually, the interesting thing about the kind of this process is it's an individual process of each person understanding the choice and then going deeper and deeper. And as you go deeper into Bitcoin, you realize you never go back, right? You never go up a step. If you're at level 1 and go to level 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, you never go from 10 to 8, right? The people that have actually made it all the way down to the bottom of the rabbit hole and realize what this actually is, they're resolute, right? I'm resolute, right? This is the way we're going to build the world, and then I put all my attention and energy into it to essentially, in with my time, influence the world that I see. And when you realize you have that much power in each person has much power in each of what we do, why would you ever give it up?
I think most people don't realize they have that much power. I think they're co-opted and they've been trained. So you're in Canada, correct? If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So you're in Canada. So not too much different and not too far off from US, right? But we've just been indoctrinated into a system, and the 1913 and the Federal Reserve Act and Federal Reserve System and the banking system, and that's just been what everybody has known. And I remember you saying that we can't destroy that system. We have to create a parallel system to just opt out of, which is a great topic. And I was just wondering if you could touch on that real quick before we jump into how everything does fall in.
Yeah. And so let's go through and all of these things that we're talking about, because it's actually a mental barrier rather than anything else. And you naturally go back to your previous beliefs to be able to, and then you reinforce your previous beliefs. Why this is so hard to unwind in yourself. That's why Bitcoin is hard for. In fact, if you're an INTJ who can see kind of that, then you're a higher likelihood to see Bitcoin. But for a lot of people, it's just and I'm not saying that those people are better. They just can construct a world out of a whole bunch of different pieces better and hold different thoughts in their head. In other things, different people are better at seeing. Like, we're all genius in our own way, and some people have different genius. So, but in this path, it's not just 1913. It's 5,000 years of human history. We've never had an honest ledger. How you would win is you would exploit other people. And if you had more people you could exploit, you would win more. And if you were in the system of oppression, if you were in the British Empire, well, the exploitation was going on, and you were one of the citizens in the British Empire. If you were at the top of that, you were a king. Right. You had all power. If you were somewhere close to the king, you had a lot of power too. But anywhere near the top, you had power. At the bottom of that, you still had immense power compared to the people that were extracted from all over the world. Right. The slaves that you brought to be able to extract from, and you created the sun never sets on the British Empire while you extracted resources and labor from the globe, and that repeated over and over and over again. And then when what you're talking about in the U.S., the founding of the U.S., and you could say to extract from the Aboriginals, but at the time, but then to create the Declaration of Independence and free individual rights and freedoms, created after the Magna Carta, right? The first real piece of paper that protected individual rights and freedoms. And so what would happen is all over the world, people moved to the U.S. because they could be more free there, and the free market's more productive. So because the free market's more productive, a lot of the balance of all of the innovation that was happening was moving to the US, and all of the best minds were moving to the US to take advantage of it, to be truly free, right? And that created a superpower, which then got co-opted by money with 1913, is we're talking, which always happens. And so if you go back further in time, if you go back in our entire human history is one of an extractive exploitative model. So if you had now a protocol bounded by energy that was decentralized and secure, it would be really hard for anybody looking back at the history books at any single point in time to kind of pinpoint what's changed, right? Because the entire structure that everybody is working on now is imposed by this new structure. And if you try to cheat Bitcoin, you will get destroyed, right? And lots of people it's going to happen over and over and over again because the mind shift is so big, is so different. And it's also why a lot of people can't get Bitcoin, because they need to be bigger than it.
I think Max says this as well. You don't change Bitcoin; Bitcoin changes you. And if you are not humble enough, or self-aware enough, or just I guess humble enough would be great to understand that, then you will be destroyed by Bitcoin. It will make you crazy.
I've watched Max change. Like, I love Max. I love Stacy. They're different than me, but I think they're fantastic. And I've watched him change, like, dramatically through this process.
Absolutely. The blockchain trilemma is that when I heard you speak about that, I never heard it before, and I thought it was a great. I never knew that was that was even a thing, right, with blockchain, and that you had to choose between security, speed, and decentralization. So for those, because I've tweeted it a few times, and I'm not the best at articulating that. You are very great at doing that. Could you just explain that for the audience that might not even know the reason why you have the altcoins, which sacrifice decentralization for speed and speed and the other aspects of a blockchain?
And so one of the things I try to do in all my work or talks, I try to go to first principles, because this is a really a crazy space and it's just what we said before. If you'd never had anything, if your mind couldn't hold on to something new because you didn't actually have the mental lattice, because you've always been living kind of in a different world, it'd be hard to hold on to kind of this new thought. And actually, the irony is the blockchain trilemma came from Vitalik to be able to extract money from Bitcoiners so he created that, and I decided to use the exact same thing to show how wrong he was.
Mm-hmm.
And so blockchain trilemma says in the design space of a blockchain, you can have two of three sides of a triangle: security, decentralization, and scalability. But you can only choose two on any one layer. And so by Bitcoin choosing decentralization and security, and remember, that means that scalability, the lack of scalability on the first layer, is a choice, right? It's a design choice, because humans have never had decentralization and security together. And so how would you beat that if you were somebody else? So all you had to do in Bitcoin is keep Bitcoin, stay honest, and you were repricing the world. All you had to do. You had to do nothing else. But what would that look like in a free market where these people were getting wealthy? You had to wealthy compared to a whole bunch of people that were losing money in currencies all over the world. And Bitcoiners, just by holding it and doing nothing, were getting wealthy. Obviously, in a free market, that would create an incentive to create something else, right? To create something. So what would you do naturally from that? You would say, I'm going to handle scalability with my coin, right? Speed, scalability with my coin, to be able to create a better Bitcoin. And that's what Ethereum did, right? That's what Vitalik did. And all of the stuff that, so you have to sacrifice either security or decentralization. So then when you and why Bitcoin, why Ethereum keeps changing and changing, and it's just like it's a useless project, and it'll go to zero against Bitcoin because, but it will, and all of the coins will,
Absolutely.
because by changing it, why would you ever use a blockchain? Because really what you're saying is I have a high cost database. I have a high cost centralized, because if you're going to centralize, just use a database. It's way cheaper. So how could decentralized finance live on top of a centralized high cost database? It's so ludicrous that and it's so like all of these things are completely ludicrous, and it's funny when and one of the reasons I wrote that article, Finding Signal in a Noisy World, where I explained this, is I was asked it so many times. I was just getting tired of repeating the same thing over and over and over again. But it would make sense, because then if you were doing that, you would want to conflate Bitcoin and blockchain and crypto as the same thing, because you would make more money because people were thinking it was a technology, and they could easily believe that if it was a technology instead of a protocol, they could easily believe that technologies get better and the new one is better without asking why. But if you had all this marketing money that was created by this scam, you could easily spend that marketing money to convince a whole bunch of people, and those people would really get confused in a market that was kind of broken. Money was everywhere. People were just, what they were really saying is, I need to get rich, I need to make money. And they would be wide open to all of these affinity scams. And so how this has played out makes perfect sense to me. And I completely, and I don't even want to go as harsh as I'm going right now, because some of the people on the block creating these other chains also had no idea that Bitcoin was a protocol, that protocols come in layers, and all of the functionality that they were looking for would eventually come into other layers in Bitcoin. So they had no clue that that's how protocols evolve, because we don't see protocols very often. So even some of the ideas inside the other coins, some of the ideas are actually not bad, right? You need privacy. You need speed of transactions. It's the application of the way to do the idea. If you said speed of transactions, I need bigger block size, that then centralizes, then that's a terrible application of the idea.
And that's why we have the layer twos, right?
Exactly.
Or the layer two on top of Bitcoin. That way your foundation is secure. And that
Yeah.
way you don't have to worry about or centralization and security, right? And then you can just build on
Because
top.
everything built on top, and I'm saying everything built on top natively, without another coin, without some other thing, everything built on top natively gets, without the risk, gets everything below it. It's tethered to all of the functionality below. And this is how protocols develop. And we're very early in that process. So if you just think about how early we are in this process, like the beginning of the internet was in the 60s, late 60s. And so when people are talking about TCP or in a comparison to Bitcoin, you have to, they're thinking Bitcoin starting on the internet as they know the internet in 1989, when HTTP was invented by Tim Berners-Lee. That's when they're starting Bitcoin. But if Bitcoin has to go back further because it's the first layer of the protocol, right? It actually the reference is actually the late 60s. Right. So that first layer of the protocol comes slowly and moves into this as we just described.
Excellent. So absolutely. So most people don't, and like you said, most people don't even know that Bitcoin is a protocol. For the average person, like you said, they think it's a technology. They think that someone can make another Bitcoin. They think, oh, Bitcoin Cash is better. They think Bitcoin Satoshi Vision um, is the real Bitcoin. What do you say to those people who are trying to fork based on what they believe is really Satoshi's vision? But obviously, the market, tells us otherwise. But what do you say to those people that are just not sure or just don't know?
This is an open. This is an open. This is an open protocol. If you want to do that, and if you think that's right, you go ahead. If you, I would say, you should do your work for you, because you'll realize that just holding and being cooperative on this protocol, you'll win. And by trying to co-opt it, you'll probably get destroyed. But if you want to, this is open source. I could create a Jeff Coin tomorrow. It's just the benefit of that. And I can't see anything in any of this design space, nothing that there is value long term, because there can't be value long term if it's not decentralized and secure.
Absolutely. I remember you said you tried to prove and to discredit, or not discredit, but you tried to, see any flaws and, find the
10,000 hours of trying to kill Bitcoin.
trying to kill Bitcoin.
And continuing now through, and we could talk about the deeper dive on what that looks like. But I think through that lens all the time. Why I say, if it stays decentralized and secure, it is specifically why I say that is not that I don't believe it will, is so that people understand the depth of that what I mean there, the depth of having a decentralized secure protocol bounded by energy that anybody can work on, that is resolute in staying decentralized and secure, imposes, they don't need to think about anything else. If they do the work there, then it is repricing the entire world. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. Like literally nothing else matters.
And that's a hard pill for most people to swallow. We can definitely dive a little bit deeper on that. But as an entrepreneur myself, and obviously you are, the speak on, before we dive into a little bit deeper on a couple different things as far as spirituality and of course the cost of everything getting cheaper, including houses, as you said it several times in many interviews, that your house went from 100 Bitcoin to 4 Bitcoin. We'll touch on that a little bit. But as an entrepreneur, I always try to tell my business is financial literacy, and I teach everything based on a Bitcoin foundation. So the average person, the average entrepreneur has they're so scared of the volatility of Bitcoin. It's just so new to them. As an entrepreneur yourself who has just completely opted out of the fiat system and is completely operating in Bitcoin because you understand the value of it, what do you say to those who don't really get it yet as far as an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur mindset? We have we have some great examples, obviously, with MicroStrategy, which most people still are turning a blind eye to, and then we have, of course, El Salvador, who has been buying Bitcoin once a day, every day for the past 4 years. So, can you just touch on that for me?
Yeah, and really in this, I don't prescribe what I should do or what somebody should do because I do it. My view of if your world looks great to you and it's not doing harm to other people, right? Then who am I to tell you you're not? Who am I, right? I just know for me that I want my kids to grow up in an honest world, in a base layer based on truth, and I know what I want to do, and I know it to be able to influence those. My integrity is not for sale for any price. Meaning, if there was ever a choice, Bitcoin goes to zero or I lose my integrity, then like a crazy choice that somebody was giving me something like there was no way I will ever change this. I'm a node in this network, one node. And what I know though about this and what keeps this decentralized and secure is that I used this example before, but in 92, there were 70 people on a cryptography list in the cypherpunks mailing list. 92, 70 people. Those people foresaw, and by the way, if you take moments of time through history, Buckminster Fuller, Henry Ford, bunch of different people throughout history, they saw the need for a decentralized, honest ledger bounded by energy. They saw there was just no way to create it, right? The technology had it, there was no way to create it. And then you had these cypherpunks driving to try to create it. In 92 to 2009, you had a whole bunch of tries and fails and fails and fails. And so all of those people, as that list got bigger and bigger, trying to wrestle money from the state because they could see the same thing we see now way back then.
Yeah,
way back then. So think about that. And so when people essentially celebrate me, and like I go, like these are the people we should celebrate. The people that all of these people that were doing this under risk of life, right? And and no wonder they were pseudonymous. No wonder so many of them were doing this, because you had a state apparatus that was getting worse and worse and would get worse and worse, and they foresaw what you had to do to break money free. And that means all of the failures too, which inspired Satoshi, which he couldn't have probably created without the failures. We need to celebrate the failures too, and all of the people and all the people doing that. Well, if you just notionally say, how big is that list now? It's probably hundreds of thousands of people. 70 people to hundreds of thousands of people, all nodes. Me no better than any other node. No extra voting power, no extra anything else. All, but all aligned to never allowing this to be centralized or insecure. And those people are like the front lines of driving this and looking for any risks. And that number of people is growing immensely, right? And yes, there's a lot of people that still have no clue what we're talking about, right? There's a lot of people still measuring Bitcoin in a fiat instrument, right? Which must centralize Bitcoin, and they're actively like not running nodes, measuring in a fiat instrument. So there's tons. And why would there be way more people like that? Because there's way more people in the world. There's 8 billion people that are eventually going to learn the same things you and I know right now, right? And they'll add their voices to the other 100,000 people, and it'll grow more and more and more, and it'll keep going. And why do I say that? And why do I say that so clearly? Because we are Bitcoin. And so the things I do every day impact other people, even if I don't know they impact other people. Right. And so if we all if more of us show up that way, then the speed of the transition just happens faster.
Oh, so good. All right, so yeah, we definitely don't want to tell anybody what to do. So yeah, I just wanted to give. I wanted you to give an example, or just explain how, or maybe how it. We know it's better to save in Bitcoin, but maybe the growth or the value of your entrepreneurship or business is growing exponentially. Any thoughts on that, or just your point of view?
So Chris, maybe the better way to say this is, when people don't know, like when a market doesn't know something and you do, because you've done the work, you shouldn't be mad at that, right? You shouldn't be mad at those people. You should, because it's screaming for entrepreneurs. Here's an opportunity to allow other people to know. What you're doing on your podcast, what you're doing on this stream right now, is creating an opportunity where there was none before, right? And that opportunity, if 8 billion people don't know this, and 100,000 people do, and actually, if you like, say there's 2 million Bitcoiners, but 100, how many actually know kind of the depth of what we're talking about right now? And you could do one of two things. I could be crazy wrong, right? Or if right, it means it's the biggest opportunity the world's ever seen to be able to transition. And that means every single person moving more of their time to help more people. Because how do you get paid in the free market? You help others. And so think about the magnitude if you think Bitcoin isn't doing the thing you want it to do, or it's hard to understand, or it's your local people don't know it, or your local corner store doesn't know. Think of all of these things that you think are negatives. They're positives for you. Like, this is how the free market works. They are all positives. Like, why are you spending time on Twitter yelling at those other people, those that don't get it? Right? Because all that does is service your ego. And it actually pushes those people away more because it says, I'm better than you because I know. But what if you took a different approach? What if you took an approach where I was the same? I didn't know, right? And I'm no better. I did this work. Now I see something totally different. How can I help you? Like, can you imagine how fast it starts spreading if everyone started doing that?
Absolutely. Oh man, so good. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I agree with that 100%. Let's jump into the not psychological, but spiritual aspect of Bitcoin. Do you believe in God, and do you correlate Bitcoin with spiritual awakening, or just anything spiritual aspect about Bitcoin that you can touch on, or that you believe?
So I don't know if I believe in God as much as but I don't begrudge people that do. I think it's maybe this is a deep question. I think God is in all of us. I think we are. I think we are. We literally create the future that we like. Our beliefs. We can see our beliefs create our future. Our thoughts, words, actions create our future. And if we believe something, then we also close an opportunity to believe something else. Right. So we actually can't see through somebody else's beliefs. And that creates a whole bunch of tension in the world. And so I tend not to try to get into the organized religion part of this, but I'm very spiritual. I believe literally we are all one. And I believe that love and belonging is the thing we all want the most. And we'll do anything to get it. And most people, by trying to get it, are pushing it away because they're inside a little bubble of I need to matter, I need to matter, I need to matter, through whatever way they're trying to matter. And by doing that, they end up pushing away the thing that they think they believe they want most. So that's and just like I used as a cypherpunk's example, right? All of the negatives, all of the failures, also created the success. And so, what does that describe? It describes in quantum physics, even we may all be connected. Right? All of those people that went before us, failures, strength, that we can't even. I gave the speech in Madeira, and most people wouldn't know who Michael Faraday is. Michael Faraday wouldn't have been found if the printing press wasn't created. Michael Faraday and then Maxwell's equations, who created Faraday, essentially seeing or believing in electromagnetism, even though he couldn't see it or prove it. And then Maxwell, James Clerk Maxwell, creating the perfect math condition to be able to describe it, is responsible for all of our consumer electronics, satellites, electricity today. Most people don't know who these people are. Mm-hmm. Yet these people had a staggering influence on their lives. Right? Mm-hmm. That's how the world works. We everything we do touches other people.
Absolutely. All right. Excellent. You did mention in previous videos the cost of your house in Bitcoin and how it's continuously falling. Just a quick touch on that. We all know everything is going to zero against Bitcoin, but for you, in your specific scenario and situation, just touch on that for the audience that has not heard that story. Or
Yeah.
just
So yeah.
knows about
So yeah. So the I can't remember. I keep updating the time frame. So, so at each different time frame. But at one time, and this was back March of last year, it was my house had gone. Even though it had gone from 1.4 million to 2 million or 2.1 million in Canadian dollars, it went from 300 Bitcoin to 27 Bitcoin, I think, in that, or 32 Bitcoin in that time. Now, if you do it now, it's probably, it went from, again, 4 years or that much later, it's gone from 100 Bitcoin to, call it 20 Bitcoin or 18 Bitcoin. But what you could do, but don't just do it on housing, do it on, pull up, pull up price of energy or price of oil in Bitcoin, and you will see a perfect trend line going to oil, going to falling forever, energy prices. Pull up all energy prices in Bitcoin, and you'll find Bitcoin and energy prices are all going to zero. You're going to have abundant energy, and it's going to price. And energy is the first principle to everything else we create. So if you think about energy prices falling in the current in the protocol bounded by energy, then relative to that, all other prices must fall too.
it's absolutely crazy. And then this site that I have pulled up here is it gives you exactly what you're speaking about, right? We have energy, we have commodity. I don't know if energy's on here. It has commodities though. It has the equities market. It has fiat. It has precious metals. You know, and it just shows over time how it is just continuously becoming cheaper in Bitcoin. And once you understand this, like you said, it's just you can't go back. And if you do go back, you were never a Bitcoiner. You never understood it in the first place. When you
I
agree?
love I love what you just said. That the only reason you would go back is you believed you could cheat it and make more, right? But what does that say about you? It doesn't say anything about Bitcoin, right? That's it, but it does, and it won't say anything about Bitcoin. It says something about you, and 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 if you think about human nature throughout time, the when people like these terrible things that we put our head in the sand and we don't think we can solve, but they happen all around us and we take advantage. And by the way, and we make that system stronger with all of our actions within it. Tell us something about human nature. They tell us most people will not, they'll say they'll stop, right? They say they won't do it, but when push comes to shove, they will do the terrible thing to stay on the in crowd, right? To stay on or to gain more money over somebody else. They will do horrific things. I wish that wasn't true, but our society, 5,000 years of human history also show
Yes,
that's
sir. Hmm.
right. So so that's what Bitcoin changes, because it imposes playing by it's still crazy competitive, right? So competing in the free market there, you're competing against the entire globe of people trying to create more value. Crazy competitive, which is also why prices fall faster in it, because it takes 8 billion people out of this forced slavery and puts them in the system that's in for all of us. But it's bounded by cooperation, because everybody working in that is working for you. Every single person is working. I'm working for every Bitcoiner.
Hmm. And that's an amazing that's amazing insight and a great way to describe that and to explain that. So thank you for touching on that. One of my favorite videos of you is when I think it was at Atlantis, at Bitcoin Atlantis, not too long ago. I don't know if you, I know you follow me on Twitter, but I know you're not on there too much. But you were explaining Magnificent Seven, and you were explaining about the left versus right, and you were explaining how everybody's screaming at each other, oh Donald Trump this or Kamala Harris, and you know and we're fighting against each other for a system that's enslaving us. And most people don't realize that. So I want you to touch on, if you can, explain that for the audience, how, you just explained it so well. I always retweet that video here and there because I have it on my Twitter as a highlight. But now that election is over and there's a new president, I think it's great to, at least touch on that, because Bitcoin is the definition of sovereignty, and you need to govern yourself, right? I tell people, yeah, the president, there may be a president of the corporation, which is the United States, but you are the president of your own life. You are sovereign over your own life, and Bitcoin helps you to empower and to embrace that. But some people are just not. They just don't get it.
And again, you just keep coming back to this. They will, as long as it stays decentralized and secure, they will get it. They'll be forced to get it, or they're going to be liquidated in real terms. They will. So everybody will get it. Every politician will get it. Every single person on the planet will get it. It's just their time of getting it. And if you just play that forward, lots of people still to come will try to cheat it.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people that today you like, because of human nature, will try to cheat it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if it stays decentralized and secure, they will fail. There's one rule in Bitcoin: don't try to cheat Bitcoin.
That's right.
You try to cheat it honest network comprised of all of these people that can't be found all over the world, and these nodes. You're the one that's going to be on the outside. So that's just, and by the way, which is so beautiful. And then if you know that, then why are you worried about the cheaters? Right? Spend time on the people that actually fill you up every day. Spend time on the people that are building the alternative, the path forward for humanity, and leave the people behind. Because and what I was trying to describe in Atlantis and that process is, we don't realize how much of our actions are sucked into the noise,
Mm-hmm.
and it preys on us. And it preys on us by dividing us, and it preys on us by more and more fear. And we're literally, our minds are being hijacked in that fear over and over and over again. And if you just, like, for anybody listening to this, actually do the time, actually spend the time in minutes of the day, and say, how much time do I give to these other things? And I think most people, even a lot of Bitcoiners, will be surprised at how much attention they give it, how much time that they're taking away from what they could do to be able to feed this to be able to feed this system. For me, it was striking. And I tell that story all the time about my own aha moment on all of what I was doing. And I think that's why this is a personal trip for all of us, and understanding it. And as we do it, we'll spend more time in the honest system, and more people will join us in the honest system. Why? Because the outcome is so much better. But you don't have to get mad at other people for choosing differently. You just leave them behind.
Let them learn. Magnificent Seven. You also brought up these stocks and how we give these corporations and these they have our data, right? And they have so much power because we're giving them the power. Same thing with the politicians, like you were just saying. So the Magnificent Seven are without the Magnificent Seven, the stock market would be trash, right? There wouldn't even be. They're the only ones that's keeping up the S&P 500, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, and exactly. So if you looked at the price earnings, and we're betting on stocks right now, and it took you 30 years if you had to invest in a business, that it took you 30 years to pay back a principal, right? The principal. And some of these stocks are trading way higher multiples than that. But against the risk of the next 30 years, would that seem like a good bet? It seems like a crazy bet. But the same thing in buying a house, right? When money can't be stored as value, and you have to store it in a house to be able to store your money, because as your money is losing money, then everybody goes into the same trades, and the stock and the house creates a monetary premium because money's bad, right? And so these things detach from reality, but from that system, they don't look like they were detached from reality, because from that system, the people in those are winning against the other people losing faster. But if you measure all those things against Bitcoin, you can see, and if let's just say your primary view was US dollar, then from that view, then Bitcoin would be rising way faster than all of your other assets. It would be returning 45% per year, whereas stock market returns would be 8.5%. So, and the other returns would be just matching monetary debasement. But so that would be one, and a lot of people, I think most Bitcoiners are still in that camp. And then there would be a whole bunch of people that don't like Bitcoin, that think it's a scam and everything else, like the vast majority of people. And they would just be seeing the purchasing power eroding at a crazy rate. So they would not have the 45% IRR, they would have the 8.5%, and they would be getting repriced by Bitcoin over time. And they would think they were winning because their comparison were people that weren't in stocks, right? But they would be losing too. And now we'll go on the very opposite extreme of the Bitcoin, the kind of where I am. If the free market is naturally deflationary, and Bitcoin has resolved that paradox by being an open, decentralized, secure protocol bounded by energy, then from that protocol, all prices fall forever. It's really simple. And so if you don't price in the piece of paper, you don't have any of the noise of the piece of paper either, and you see really clearly what I said: my house should fall in price, as it does. Energy prices should fall in price, as it does. Everything will fall in price forever. And so what we're describing here is not Bitcoin, nor the existing system. It's your view of it, right? And where you are in your path of understanding what this is.
Reality is.
Yeah.
It's it's the truth serum. It's the mirror. It's the oh man, it's so many things. Bitcoin is just so many things. And what do you think is the most important thing that Bitcoin has taught you over your journey of not only entrepreneurship but
so many, because I had to unlearn a lot of the things, and I'm really honest with these things. Let's see if I can answer a question with this. So somebody asked a question: what came first, worldview shaped by price of tomorrow, or understanding Bitcoin? And the worldview came first. I understood Bitcoin while I was so I bought Bitcoin for the first time in 2017, but just a little bit, and I didn't realize how big this was. Right, I didn't realize how this discovery changed everything. I thought just, and that's why it's just, you might as well tell your own journey too, because we all were once there, right?
absolutely.
And so I bought it. I thought it was an interesting thing to be able to follow, but I bought a little bit of it. And it was in 2018, 2019, as I was writing my book, late 2018, 2019. So I was writing my book, that I was getting deeper and deeper into. I was trying to resolve the paradox that I created in the book, right? There's a paradox here. Like we should live in this system, but we live in this system. And how do we get from one system to another when no one will let that happen? Right? No one will vote for that to happen. We will keep on making this system. So I was trying to resolve that paradox, and I was up nights. I couldn't, and all of a sudden, Bitcoin resolves it. Right? Bitcoin resolves it. It allows the pricing to just over time transition to this other system that provides truth, hope, and abundance. And even then, when I finished my book, there was only one paragraph about Bitcoin, and I thought there was about a 5% probability of failure of Bitcoin at that time. And again, it wasn't Bitcoin; it was my own viewpoint, because I didn't understand it deep enough. And so a whole bunch of people in this community, and through talking and getting sharper and trying to poke holes in my understanding actually are also responsible, and actually in this community, even going back in time, right, are responsible for my evolution in Bitcoin to be able to understand this at a deeper and deeper level, to try to poke holes. So my worldview, Price of Tomorrow, was first. Resolving that worldview in a way that imposed that worldview in the world, against the world, imposed, not negotiated with, imposed that worldview in the world was second, and then my deeper understanding of Bitcoin.
Excellent. Oh man, excellent. I know that you have a business that focuses on Bitcoin startups. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Ego Death Capital, and so now, how could I do the thing I'm really good at in seeing kind of visionary founders, helping them create their businesses? So we created Ego Death Capital to be able to do that job, and a byproduct of that would be accelerating the Bitcoin ecosystem. And so that Bitcoin ecosystem. Now, we only raised our first fund was capped at 30 million, and the reason it was capped at 30 million was because it was so nascent, right? The second layer, Lightning at the time, Liquid at the time, other things. It was so early that if you raise a huge fund to be able to do that, you couldn't deploy properly here and spend the time with the entrepreneurs to be able to help them in creating their visions, to be able to help make
properly
scalable and everything else, because it just was so early. And we saw a whole bunch of people raise huge funds and then have to deploy those funds into crypto and everything else, and then get caught into that same noise. And why did they raise the huge funds? Because they could make more money. And then they got kind of totally sidetracked on building kind of nonsense. So we kept ours really focused. And then by doing that fund has had lots of success. We funded Fedi, we funded Breeze, we funded Helen Markets, we funded quite a number of different companies, and those companies are having tremendous success in different different pieces. And then we're currently raising our second fund of 100 million. Which expands on that, and is now a Series A fund to kind of pick the ones that are scaling now really fast and be able to accelerate those. So the capital is moving to what's working, and we're still really early in this. Now, I will say this: what I see every day versus most people seeing every day, I can see it from the giant pools of capital reaching into our fund. Right, wanting to play, and each one of these people also understanding what we're saying right now, right, and betting on the future and these entrepreneurs, and so, and I can see the success of these too, because when I think about kind of when I said that rate of return, you could do nothing. You don't have to invest anything. If you just hold Bitcoin in self-custody, I think you could pretty safely achieve a 45% IRR forever against the existing system. So in other words, why would you deploy money at less than that? If that's because that achieves no counterparty risk. If you hold in self-custody, you have no counterparty risk against a 45% return, which is higher than anything that's ever happened before. Right? So if you have a 45% return with no risk, that is the new risk-free rate. So when a bond says, I'm going to give you 4.6% as the risk-free rate of the world, and that 4.6% is losing 39% a year to Bitcoin, right? You realize that's not the risk-free rate. It's a misinterpretation. So people have no idea what the risk they're actually taking on that bond. The risk-free rate is 45%, and that's the only risk-free thing in the world if you hold in self-custody. That's the risk-free. That's the risk-free rate. So how could you beat that risk-free rate? as far as I know right now, there's only two ways, right? There's you leverage, create leverage to be able to juice your returns, and you take the risk of that leverage, a massive drawdown for any length of time, wiping you out to zero, right?
Mhm.
If you don't have the capital flow into, and that's the risk that MicroStrategy is playing.
Yeah.
And it should work, and it could work extraordinarily well, right? But that is a risk you could beat Bitcoin returns for a length of time in doing, or you build value in the free market, and you have those companies that are growing really quickly, denominated in Bitcoin, adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And so that's what we do. And we're and and we've had tremendous success in building Bitcoin companies that are building on top of this layer, and so inside our portfolio, just how powerful some of these are going, and how much Bitcoin they're adding to their balance sheet each month. Um, it it's funny, in the old model, in the old kind of the venture capital model, you go pre-seed, seed, A, B, C, D, E, maybe one day public, and a lot of times when they were public, they were still unprofitable.
Yeah.
A lot of these companies are going from seed or seed to maybe Series A, but sometimes it's seed and they're already massively profitable in Bitcoin every month. And growing extraordinarily fast. And what does that say? What it actually say if you just simplify the whole thing? They're creating enormous value for other people by building businesses, and the benefit of their business is the enormous value that they're creating. And that's what and so that's what we do, to try to outperform Bitcoin. And would I do that personally? Anyways, yes, I would do that personally anyways, because I think this is the way the future is going to go. But would I invest other people's money if I didn't think I could beat 45% IRR? No.
Wow. Game changer. Wow, that's amazing. Last question on that, what do you think is the major niche or area or business that needs that would have significant impact?
we're so early. That's a good way to say. Take 69, take 16 years from there. If you said when kind of the beginnings of the internet came, that's Bitcoin layer 1. So we're not at we're in the 80s, right? Of the internet. HTTP didn't come until 89. And then it took probably another 15 to 20 years before Google and Amazon and all of the things, this phone, that all of the things that we take for granted as entrepreneurs created value out of this new way to create value. So now think about where we actually are here, and why most people misunderstand the opportunity. And the opportunity is everywhere, by the way. So Nostr, most people aren't on Nostr today. They're still stuck in the centralized thing, thinking that Elon can give them free speech, right? And like it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And Elon understands money. Remember, he started PayPal, right? He had to put it on his balance sheet in Tesla. So to do that work, you would have to assume that somebody understands money. And I saw an interview a long time ago with Elon. The reason he started, it was Zip to Pay before PayPal, but the reason he said, because he realized if he was at the top of the financial system, he could extract more.
Mm-hmm.
He understood money at that time, like when in his 20s, in his early 30s. So he understood money then. I think he understands this now, and he's the single biggest beneficiary from the exploitation, extraction of money, as the richest person, and it becomes more and more powerful. And he uses these themes to be able to create, I'm the only one who could save free speech, or I'm the only one who could save this, from a system that must steal it from you. And so I find it ludicrous, right, that so many people give that more time and
Absolutely.
are making him stronger on both sides of that issue by strengthening that power. And if he, so let's assume he understands Bitcoin, on this case, but you're a technocrat where you think you're the only person who could save the world,
His ego's in the way.
and you consolidate all power by kind of creating these themes, free speech on a centralized platform, and most people go along with your plan because you're better than the other guy, right? And even while you're turning off people in China because you want to sell cars there, and so you're just a pawn of the state. And if you really, and why I think some people can't understand this is because they need to be bigger than the network. They need to be bigger. They need to be the person who is in control. Bitcoin doesn't have anybody like that. There is no node more powerful than any other node, right? And so if Bitcoin is bigger than you, and you know Bitcoin is bigger than you, then you act like it. And it's but if you're bigger than Bitcoin, in some cases you can't do this because it takes everything you think you are, and it takes it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Elon, it's funny that you say that because, like I said, I know you're not too much on Twitter, but there's something going on right now where he is like not fighting against, but people are disagreeing with him on Twitter, and he has blocked people, his accounts. He's muted people's accounts. He's taken away their badges. He's banned people.
To me, this is like people walking outside in their bathing suit in the middle of the winter saying, "Where did summer go?" Like, you couldn't see this coming? Like, of course has to come. It has to come. And so we were going back, though, how early we are on Nostr and how early we are on some of these things. I saw another question about kind of different layers on the protocol on like Fedi and how early we are on some of these things. It's nascent. It's really early. And these things are coming together. You have a protocol of decentralization security. You have a communications protocol that Elon can't do anything about, nor can anybody in Nostr, that is tethered to the other protocol. It's part of it. You have Fedi that if you wanted complete privacy, anonymity, and everything else in your own community, complete, like China couldn't break into yours, right? No communication over here could break into your privacy, and you wanted absolute privacy, you could have it today. You could have it in North Korea. You could have it, and these communities are emerging, right? And they're trading with each other, and they're emerging, and they're growing, and they're creating, and it's easier and easier to use. If you look at what Breeze is doing, you could plug in Breeze API and deliver payments to anybody. Yep, but the difference with payments in the existing system and this system is everybody today gets paid. They pay to take payments in a currency that's losing value. In the new system, you'll get paid to take payments. You'll get tiny parts of the routing fees, and that means you could spend lower. You could have lower margins, and you could give people more value. So what will win, right? And so the difference, I think, in understanding this is there's a lot of people not deep enough, so they're not seeing all of these different pieces that all together are growing and expanding, and this plus something else is going to create an entirely new business opportunity that I can't even see right now.
Yeah.
Just like this plus this created this.
Yeah,
right?
we didn't even know how tech.
And until it was in your hands, at that time you would have used a BlackBerry. And I remember saying to people, I will never get rid of my BlackBerry because I love my buttons. I remember saying, and until that was in my hands, and it changed everything because of the user interface. So remember, in this system, all of these people, why it moves faster is you don't have to rebuild a payment platform. It's native. right? You don't have to rebuild anything. You just plug it in, and now you can build faster and faster and faster. And all of these, so like there's like deep tech and deep protocol level, and and it took time, and it's taking time to kind of resolve some of the complexity in other layers to be able to deliver the value. But that's just really a timing thing,
Absolutely.
and it's getting easier and easier to use. The question is like, and it's the same for Bitcoin as it is for Nostr. When will people see? Like, you just think about think about the people that are like, they get Bitcoin, but they don't get Nostr for the very same reason, right? For the very same reason, right? They just Nostr's earlier,
Exactly.
right? So where would the opportunity be? The opportunity would be not in the centralized platform. The opportunity would be lead people to the new one.
That's right. And you can tip in Bitcoin. It's decentralized and secure.
And
Man,
somebody just
just
said basically DNS on Bitcoin. That is exactly what's happening. So,
mhm.
what an interesting story on Fedi. Um, just before launching that, um, two of the federations actually had Fedi in their name, um, and and just before the launch, the those nodes were shut down. But how could you do that? That meant that meant the deep state, that somebody had to know, like, because who would look at Fedi, right? And it kept running. The federations kept running because the other ones didn't have those the name of the company in their website. But Fedi was flattered because it means that wow,
Threatened.
right?
Yeah.
You're that threatened by this thing
It's
that you're trying to shut down DNS, and so that just moved, and then they created in Fediment, they created a way to move your DNS, and you could create it on the DNS on Nostr now. And so a lot of these things become resolved by the free market.
trying to
E-
attack it, basically.
Exactly, or by the centralized market trying to attack it, and more people understanding kind of those choices and what and which one do they want to live in.
Oh, so crazy. It just makes it more resilient. Bitcoin gets
Totally.
more and more resilient the more you attack it. So that's amazing. And what's crazy is again, as an entrepreneur, especially if you're making or earning a lot of fiat dollars, right? Like you said, you're paying fees to accept money, right? And these companies such as Stripe and PayPal, they charge a certain amount of dollars plus 3.5%, and it seems to go up every single year. And if you're making a lot of revenue, then that adds up 3.5% of 100,000 or a million. That's a nice chunk of change, right? And if you can just opt out of that, like you said, and just plug into Bitcoin and accept money directly, you can lower your margins, lower the cost of production, or create more value for your customer base. You're going to exceed far more, and you're going to have more money and more capital saved up, especially if you save in Bitcoin as well. So, man, it's a game changer all the way around, and I just pray that we,
Well,
hopefully.
but you probably, like, even as we go through this, you can see how how even potentially people on this call are um, could move their time into this thing and gain way more value faster, but tend to stay stuck in the system that they think is correct. Right? When I use that Nostr example, right? The opportunity on Nostr is the negative. It is that, okay, it's early. It's a project that's ongoing and everything else, and all of these things and all of this opportunity inside that create an opportunity to lead in it.
Imagine, and I'm on Nostr as well, and I'm not on there too much, but I definitely use it and I see the value. But imagine people that are just getting their satoshis and getting zaps here and there, and they use it, and it's just the same as Bitcoin. You just use it and you hodl and you hold, and when it grows, and it's going to grow exponentially, and you're early, you're gonna benefit from being an early adopter. So I love
Some,
Nostr.
some of the people getting, and I could put me into that too. The coffee that I'm currently getting per day in Nostr, eventually will be cars. Right? right? That's what it look like. Like that's the that's
Hold on, say
that's
that
what,
again. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I don't even think people understand what you just said because it took me a second. Repeat that for me one more time and for the audience. Oh my goodness.
the coffee I make every day in Nostr will eventually buy cars.
And if you don't understand that at this point, I mean, that's okay. You'll get it one day. But if you're wise enough to take advantage of the opportunity and to be an early adopter, that is the potential and the growth that you'll have. Because
So exactly, go there, build an audience. And how do you build an audience? Build an audience by contributing to other people and building value in that audience. Go there, and by doing that, people will tip you. And the tips that you get, if you hold on to them, will buy mansions, they'll buy cars, they'll buy and just so why are you spending your time complaining about Elon and an exit or somebody on the other side of the system inside a centralized platform where you're just burning your time inside a currency that's losing value?
literally dying every day. Man, it's been an hour and 15. I respect your time and I love the conversation and I don't want to take too much more of your time and I'm so blessed and thankful to be able to listen to you over the years and finally to actually even have you on the show. You've definitely helped my understanding so much more and just all your talks. Like I said, I just listen to all your videos. It just helps me to just to understand and have that conviction, which I already have a conviction. I have Bitcoin tattooed on my face.
That's
I
unreal.
don't know if you know that, but yeah, I got it tatted back in like 2021 or 2020, 2021, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Here's the thing, Chris, and I could just say it's a mirror back. And like anybody who's in this system that's actually giving their time to the system, I try to help in the best way I can, because again, we are all just nodes. Like you're gonna touch somebody who you don't know you touch, who's gonna totally change their life, and they will never be able to thank you, and because of what you're doing.
and you definitely changed my life. So I thank you, and I wish I had some Bitcoin to give to you, but I'm sure you have enough. But Max and
Go
Stacy definitely changed my life.
spend more time on Nostr and send me a note, and I'll
I
send you a
will.
call.
There you go. And then one day we'll be able to buy cars and mansions with that. So thank you so much, man. It's nothing but love, and I appreciate you. And I'll see you on Noster. And any last words? I know you have your book. I actually have a new book that just it's actually out now, but I haven't announced it yet. But it's called Bitcoin Dad, Fiat Dad, because I am a dad and someone who was lost in the fiat world, and it's obviously motivated by Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. So I was like, oh man, you know. I'm a Bitcoin dad. My son is very knowledgeable. I was like, let me just put my little spin on it. Bitcoin dad, fiat dad, where I give my little, my point of view from a fiat dad, and then now a Bitcoin dad. So it is out on Amazon now. But where can people get your book, and what other things that you have that we can look forward to in the future?
Yeah, just on Amazon. And if people want to go to my website, it's jeffbooth.ca or ecodeath capital or ecodeath.capital on
Oh,
either of those.
okay. And what I'll do is I'll add your address. I'll put the links into the bio here or into the description for YouTube, and then I need your Nostr address as well, so that way I
Okay,
can make sure people can follow you on there.
I'll send it
So,
over.
all right. So thank you so much. God bless you, and you take care. And thank you for being on my show. I appreciate you.
It was awesome. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
See ya.
All righty, everybody. That was Jeff Booth. Oh my goodness. Ah man, such a great conversation, guys. Head over to youtube.com/@ Bitcoin Chris. Hit that like, share, subscribe, retweet this now. Somebody needs to see this now. We need to change lives now. You're early right now. And you can do your part by, of course, not only speaking about Bitcoin and helping people to, transition into the Bitcoin space, right? Because even me, like I've helped and orange pilled so many people, and it's not about. I don't care about the recognition, right? Because I don't really care about that. I just wanted to help. I want to help people, which is why I, have these videos where I tell you guys not only about the fiat currency and the money and your contracts and all, because all that stuff really stems from, again, me learning about Bitcoin. And then once you learn how about Bitcoin, and you learn about the banks, and you learn about money, then you learn about how money is actually made, and the laws, and you start to read the laws, and you start to read your rights, because you want to be sovereign and you want to know your rights and you want to stand up for your rights. And you see how fraudulent these banks are and all the stuff that they do and how many lawsuits that they've had over the past 10 years, 20 years, and all the things that they've done. It just makes you, it just gives you the conviction and makes you want to, opt out and be in Bitcoin even more. So, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. We have almost 300 people watching. So thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to Jeff Booth. I will make sure that we add the Nostr links, because I'm also on Nostr. So I'll add all that in the description in the YouTube channel. So make sure you guys follow. Go get Nostr now, because what did Jeff just say, guys? He just said that the coffee tips that he gets, right? The $2, $3, $4, $5 tips that he may get on Nostr, guys, will eventually buy you cars, and then it will eventually be able to buy you a house. And so if you understand this and you want to change your life and change the future for your children, right? And a good father leaves an inheritance for his children's children, right? So you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that opportunity, and just get yourself the stacking more Bitcoin, right? With the Fold app, right? Which I don't have. Let's see if I have my card on me. Make sure you guys get your Fold app. Scan that QR code right there on the top left hand or right hand side of this. I don't even know my Fold card. There it is. Right? Go get your Fold app card, guys. Like, we're so early, but you're only early if you take advantage. Well, I think you'll be early anyway, right? I just want to encourage you guys to be proactive and not reactive, right? So thank you guys so much again. I appreciate you guys tuned in. Hit that like, share, subscribe. Bitcoin Dad Fiat Dad is available on Amazon.com. If you guys want to go and get it now, I also will have it up on my channel on my own personal website. But I'm going to be ordering hardcover books, so I wanted to make sure I get those signed for at least the first 100 people that order the book. So it's been a great day. It's been a great week. We're alive. You're alive. You're blessed. Especially if you're into Bitcoin, life just only gets better. Life gets cheaper as far as fiat terms goes. Um, and you just have a bright, beautiful orange future with Bitcoin, guys. So with that being said, hey, make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe. Head over to swanbitcoin.com. Stack up your Bitcoin, $10 free. Using my link in the description. And I hope this conversation provided some type of value and that it helped you to understand a little bit more. Sorry we didn't get to all your questions on the appreciate you bars. Let's go. Good show. Appreciate you, Jake. Yes, sir. Thank you guys for tuning in and commenting, and let me know uh, who else we should have on the show, right? Or if you're a regular individual regular person, we're all people, we're all human, right? If you want to hop on the show and you want to talk some Bitcoin, I'll try to have a section, a little show where we can have like, five of us come on here and talk and chat Bitcoin, and, just, brainstorm and see what we can do to, orange pill more people and just, get the message out there. So 310 people tuned in today. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to Jeff Booth. If you're watching this now, make sure you rewind and go watch this video, man. And man, Jeff Booth, the truth. Shout out to Max Stacy, everybody that has helped me to get to the conviction level that I'm at now. And man, man. Get your Nostr account set up. Start stacking start tweeting over there. We're gonna call it tweet no matter where you are. Start tweeting over there. Get some zaps, right? And just be active. Whatever you post on X, just post the same thing on on Nostr, and start to build your audience over there and provide value. So I think that's a great thing to do. And if you're early, that means you're doing something right. Because we're all early here in the Bitcoin space. So with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next video. We can do a little bit of T. We'll just look at the price of Bitcoin real quick. I don't really want to do too much TA and make this any longer than the video is. It's already an hour and pretty much 30 minutes. But what I'll do is in tomorrow's video, I will jump into the regular scheduled programming. All right, so right now we're at night. We got a little discount. 92.2, 92.2 on the BTC right now, and I think it's so funny that I think a lot of people still don't get it, and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of work and diligence to be done for you to actually understand it. But even saying Bitcoin's at $92,000 is like it doesn't even matter because fiat currency is trash, and it's only a gauge, and it's only showing you how trash the U.S. dollar is. So for Bitcoin to go from under $1 to $92,000 just shows how fast and how trash the U.S. dollar is. And if you're still caught up in, I say this all the time, the least interesting thing about Bitcoin is the price. You have the freedom, you have the life changing opportunity in Bitcoin, which is obviously financial freedom. But if everything is cheaper in Bitcoin, then the fiat price is really irrelevant, right? One BTC equals one BTC, regardless of the U.S. dollar price. I just love that. Jeff says, "Yo, we're literally pricing Bitcoin, the hardest asset ever created or discovered on planet Earth in the history of humanity, and we're judging it and pricing it on a piece of paper, a piece of printed paper that literally has no value and is losing value. If whatever value it did have is losing value. So if you can grasp that you are literally pricing Bitcoin in pieces of paper that they print out of thin air, if you can grasp that idea and understand that this is not the way you're supposed to be doing it, right? You want to price everything in Bitcoin, then I think it'll be a little bit easier for you to disengage and disconnect from the price and stop worrying about the price of Bitcoin so much, because a dip is for buying, not for crying, and if you can buy it at a cheaper price in fiat terms, then it's a great and it's a blessing for you to do so, to be able to buy it at a discount. So if you have conviction, you know what time it is. If you don't, it is what it is. Bitcoin Chris checking out. God loves you. I love you. And we'll see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please go hit that like, share, subscribe. Please go to the YouTube channel. Please go buy the book on Amazon. It's going to be Bitcoin Dad, Fiat Dad on Amazon. And you can just do the Kindle, and the paper book will be coming out. We got the hardcover and the paperback. I think the paperback is the only thing I'm going to do because it costs too much to get that hardcover. I don't want to, I don't want to charge out more than, I think it's like $20. I'm charging for the book, 20, $30. So, it is what it is, but God is good. You guys take care. I'll see you guys in the next video. Jeff Boop is the GOAT. You're the GOAT. Everybody watching is the GOAT. Stack your Bitcoin and chill. I would say real quick before I log off here, I already have my levels set here, but let me just make sure that they're actually on point. Actually, I deleted it. If we are going to head higher, my level is 98,000, which is here. So let me close this. Posty put a little bit too much action going on there. If we are going to bounce here, I would say my first target is going to be 97, excuse me, 97.1 to 98. That would be and I want Bitcoin to dip, to be honest with you. I don't want it to go up higher. I want it to go lower. That'd be a 5%, 5 times 20, 100%, and then you can do 6%, almost 7%. So 6 times 20, 7 times 20, basically 5 times 20%, 20x leverage. Be careful, don't trade if you don't know what you're doing. Just stack your Bitcoin and chill. Like I always tell you, it's just easier. Buying Bitcoin and holding is very, very simple. Or it's very easy. It's not simple, right? Because it's easy to buy Bitcoin. It's not simple to just do nothing and to live and enjoy your life. So all 320 people tuned in. I appreciate you guys. My man, all the comments are TG. Oh man. Oh man, my bad, bro. Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys, man. Yeah, Bitcoin Dad, Fiat Dad is on Amazon, so go ahead and get that now. And like I said, I'll get the paperbacks printed out and mailed out, and then I'll sign them, and then I'll make sure I'll let you guys know. So make sure you're just tuned in to the YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are tuned into the Twitter, aka X, and make sure you guys are on Nostr. You got to get on Nostr, get your Bitcoin, no matter what. Stack your Bitcoin and chill. And yeah, see you guys later. Peace. Let me Peace. Bitcoin tatted. I got no fear. See you guys later.
Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah, yeah. Running with country bass, country bass. Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah, yeah. Running with country bass, country bass.